Guys, it's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, guys, I got a message from a young Aquarius. She said that she is learning to control her temper. And one of the things that she noticed is that fire signs and other aggressive people really set her temper off. And she asked me, what do I think about how she can overcome this particular issue? So, my thing is this. I always tell you in any video I do when I talk about anger, I tell you to stay away from people who set you off. Stay away from people who trigger you, especially if they're aggressive and they trigger you on purpose, because some people do that very much. So I've always been the kind of person that if somebody pisses me off, or if I know somebody unleashes the dragon, wakes up the dragon in me, I stay away from them. That's a person that I just don't give any airtime and any space to. But she was concerned about times when you can't stay away from them. See, it's easy when it's online and somebody makes an off-color comment and you block them. That's actually pretty easy. It's different when it's somebody who's texting you and you just, block their number. But it's another thing when it's your child, when it's your mother, when it's your boss, when it's the chick that sits next to your cubicle at work. What do you do about those aggressive people who are bullies, who are always in your face? What do you do about them in a productive kind of manner? Well, one of the things I want to tell you is that those kinds of people are sent by the universe. I'm very clear on that. These people are sent by the universe because the universe uses every mundane situation in your life and the big ones to teach you life lessons. So the Uber driver, the baker, the FedEx guy, your sister, your cousin, every little situation, big and large, that you get into, there's always somewhere in there a way for you to learn something. So if you find yourself dealing with your temper and constantly being, what's the word for that? Constantly coming across people who are aggressive, people who are bullies, then that's one of the ways that the universe is using to teach you some life lessons. And I'm going to tell you some life lessons that go along with that particular issue because I've had it myself. And one of the things that has happened is that when I was in priestess training, I learned how to deal with my emotions because you cannot ignore, you cannot repress, and you cannot suppress your emotions. You need to stay in a positive space, but you can't stay in that space by ignoring everything that happens that's not good. So the only way you're going to be able to do that is to deal with the emotions head on. So if you're stuck with aggressive people around you, these are the life lessons that the universe is trying to teach you. Either one of these or some of these. And I got these from my own journey and also from other people I've talked to about the same thing and from pulling cards. Because whenever I'm around a person like that, I ask the universe, why is this person here? Why did you send this person to me? Why are you doing this to me? And it always comes back with one of these things as being the culprit. It's not their fault. It's something I'm refusing to learn. The first one is mercy. The universe always tries to teach us mercy. These are the lessons. These are like what I would call life lessons, universal life lessons. One of them is mercy. The universe tries to teach us to be merciful with one another. Not to be a doormat. That's a whole different thing. But to give mercy to other people. Some of the times, a lot of times, you come across situations with people who are just not as strong as you. People who are in a bad space in themselves, and you getting angry and tearing off their head is not helping them, and it's not going to help you. And that mercy leads you into compassion. That's the second one. A lot of times, and I know for myself especially, the universe was always trying to teach me to be more compassionate with other people. I told you guys yesterday that Aquarius are brutally honest. One of the things I had to learn was to have compassion for people and still not be lying or sugarcoating things, telling them the truth, but with compassion. So I noticed that some of the times when this would happen to me, it was a lesson of compassion. Other times it will be a lesson of self-discipline. If you have a bad temper, self-discipline is definitely one of your life lessons because that's what having a bad temper teaches you. It either teaches you by you getting in trouble because of your temper or by you learning how to control your temper. So you're going to become self-disciplined, not needing someone else to discipline you, not needing someone else to tell you what to do and what is right and what is appropriate, but knowing that for yourself. The next thing that it teaches you is restraint. These aggressive people are going to push your buttons. They're going to push you past where you want to go. They are. A lot of them will. And you have to understand restraint. You have to be able to use your self-discipline to restrain yourself from choking somebody who probably deserves to be choked. People, I tell you, I said earlier, people are always going to try you. And some people do deserve to get choked. They really do deserve it. But you can't do that. You cannot do that. Number one, that restraint is helpful to you to keep you from catching cases and ended up in jail. That's number one. And number two, that restraint helps again with that self-discipline. Next, maturity. Being around aggressive people teaches you maturity because you're going to have to figure out how to productively be in close quarters with them without fighting or flighting all the time. So in order to come to some kind of compromise, some kind of happy medium, you're going to have to go inside of your head, you're going to have to go inside of your heart, and you're going to have to talk with the person and find ways of being diplomatic with them. Like, for instance, if this aggressive person is your mother, you're going to have to find a way to compromise the vibration that the two of you can at least be in the same room with each other. And none of these things are easy. But with maturity comes all of this because the self-discipline comes, you're maturing, you're getting older, you're understanding. You've done this 1,000 times and now you're getting it. So maturity comes along with this as well, if you handle it properly. And remember, all of these are based on you handling it properly. If you cuss them out or beat them up, you're not going to get these life lessons out of it. The only way you're going to get the life lesson out of it is to handle the situation productively. The last thing that you learn from this is focus. You learn to focus on and encourage a person's strengths. So if you're stuck with this aggressive person all the time, and if you start focusing on and encouraging what's good about them, what's strong about them, what's positive about them, then the two of you will butt heads less. You'll be less irritated with them. They'll probably stop being as aggressive as you focus on and encourage their strengths and what they're good about. An aggressive person is aggressive for a reason. They're bullying for a reason. Usually it's because they feel powerless or because their esteem is low. But if you start focusing on and encouraging their strengths, you can actually change that very vibration. So that's my suggestion for dealing with aggressive people. Fighting them is not going to do much for either one of you. Fleeing them is okay when you can do that. It's some of the times it's the most kind thing you can do. Just ignoring somebody. Some of the times that's the kindest thing you can do. And likewise, when you're in situations, like I said before, where those two things are not applicable, that's when you have to get diplomatic. That's when you got to get creative. That's when you have to use that self-restraint, that self-discipline, and be able to sit there and talk with and deal with this person. And I also recommend that if you are stuck with them and you can limit the amount of time that you do this, I recommend that because you should learn these life lessons, but you don't have to become saturated with them. You don't have to learn them all in one day. You can deal with them in little doses and learn the lessons until you get it. And remember something. The great thing about life lessons, and I'm going to do another video on life lessons because I know some more you guys might want to know. But the great thing about life lessons is once you get the lesson, it stops repeating. So if you truly got the lesson, it will stop repeating. So if you, for example, are finding aggressive people are coming across you and they're coming across you because you need to learn one or all of these things or some of these things, once you've learned it and you've mastered it, you will stop meeting aggressive people. You'll move on to the next thing because you've mastered that already. The universe doesn't waste time on things that you've mastered. It spends its time on things you need for your soul's evolution. You see? So once you got it, you won't have to worry about that anymore. So just take your time, figure out which of these you're being taught. And if it is none of these, figure out what it is. These are just the ones I've identified. You might identify more or you might identify other ones. But you find out what it is for you. What life lessons are these situations teaching you specifically? And get those lessons, and then you get to move on to the next thing. The higher your soul evolves, the better your vibration. The better that is for you. And the rest of us too. The more highly evolved people, the more highly evolved souls we have on this planet, the better it is for us all. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you would like to have a reading done, I would love to give you a reading. Email me and I'll give you an appointment. If you would like to contact me in any kind of way, let me see. My social media and all that kind of stuff will be underneath this video. You can also email me too. Likewise, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to someone else who needs to hear this. All right, guys. See you later.